Hello, this is Brian Ryo with assignment number 8 for the engine class. For assignment number 8 for my personal project, I've been working on multiple smaller projects. So the first one and the most successful right now is merely adding Erklang to my project and creating a sound manager to be responsible for that Erklang and everything behind it. So I have a sound manager, which is a singleton. It has its private terminate. It also has its private load sounds. So the user will give in a file name, and within down here in the bottom right hand corner, there is a new folder called music that the user is allowed to drag and drop MP3s, WAV files, and other files. And anything that is in that folder will be added as a sound source. The user also has the ability to play the sound, and if the sound is looped, they have the ability to stop the sound and drop it from the engine. At the very end, we unload all the sounds, so we stop them, we remove them, we remove all the sources, we drop the sound engine, we clear both of our maps, one which contains the username to the pointers of these things, or of these sound classes, and also the created sounds. This second map is basically for sounds that are in a loop, so that way we can clear them out when we're done with the loop, and I'll demonstrate that within a second. As well as the deleting our instance of our sound manager. We also have implemented the ability to add a private get sound under this case, just in case the user might want access to that pointer. So that way they can, as the description mentions, they can change the volume, they can pause it. Currently, right now, I only have the 2D sounds, mainly because that's the only thing that makes sense, but maybe for the following weeks, I might add more things to this. But I'll go into the future of this project. So as for doing, as for adding systems into my game, the main thing that I added was sound. This is a big warning, Andre. This may be loud. It sounds all right on my computer, but I know it may be loud for you to hear, so this is just a warning. I'm going to run the test in 3, 2, 1. So as you can hear in the background, hopefully it isn't drowning me out. I have a track playing that is just the sound of rain, because I was imagining this terrain as being a swampy type environment. And as my soldier moves forward and back, the sound plays on a loop. And the loop is terminated when I let go of the forward movement. It starts again in the backward movement and stops once again. But it's a simple sound loop with maybe like 2 or 3 seconds, and it just continues on over and over. I have also added sounds to the tank. So as you can hear, the tank hums, and if I fire a bullet, the bullet is fired. So once again, if that was too loud for you to hear, I've added sounds. There's rain running in the background. I'll show that off in a second. There's footsteps that run in a loop, as I mentioned, and the loop is able to stop and terminate. When the soldier stops, entering the tank creates a vehicle hum of an engine, and firing a bullet from the tank makes a shell or artillery fire happening. So showing how I coded that, going into the scene for the scene.cpp, this is the user-defined one, so the user scene, I have the sound manager play the sound of the background rain, and I have it loop. So the background plays, this background rain will play when the scene is initialized and play throughout the life of the scene. uh, and eventually I can call terminate on it. Right now I don't, but if I wanted to, when this one is completely done, I can place it here. So the idea is that this would kind of be like background music for a level, or it could just be ambient music. But the user can put that in their user scene, and it will, as soon as the scene starts, it will play. Going into, I'll just go into the toy soldier because the tank is basically identical. Inside the toy soldier, when my character moves, I play the sound footsteps to be true. And going back to the sound manager, uh, one thing that we also do check is if that sound is already being played. So if that sound is already being played, then this will be false and we won't play it twice. Um, but under the first case where it is a null pointer, we'll play the 2D sound, we'll loop it, we'll pause it, and then we'll play it. The only reason we pause the sound is because that will create an iSound pointer that we can store in our map of created sounds. And later on, going back to the toy soldier, when I stop holding down a key, we stop the sound. And to stop the sound, going back into our sound manager, since we do the check to see if the sound currently exists in our map, and if that sound currently exists in our map, we stop it and we drop it. So these two checks ensure that we only play that sound once, and that we only drop sounds that we've created. So we won't have a null pointer exception being thrown at runtime. Apart from that, the bullet also can create a sound. It has a gunshot sound, but that one I know for a fact is extremely loud. Feel free to look at to run the code if you want to hear all of these things in action. Gunshot is space, moving is WNS. The tank has its own hum as it's on, and it also has its artillery fire, which is also space. Button 2 is to exit the tank, and you'll hear all the noises being played altogether. That basically covers what I've implemented in terms of my game. So I've implemented sound, and what I've done for this week, which is one of the small side projects. This week, as I mentioned, was sound. I do hope to add 2 more minor things. I'm kind of hoping to add a sort of simple, like, I'm hoping to add a simple light system, but I don't know if I'll actually have the time for this. Andre, I'm kind of asking for your opinion at this point since there's really just a week left. I feel that it's in the best interest for my grade and time to refine my sound engine so that way I can add 3D sound and all the function to manipulate that and make it easier for the user. I feel like doing that and then cleaning up a lot of my code and having it well documented is more important than adding 2 or 3 additional minor things. But other than that, that covers what I've done for this week's sprint. I also plan on adding a few additional enemies into the level that will attack the player, and maybe a tank or 2 for the finished product of the game. I think it's more reasonable to do a few enemies, a tank, in terms of gameplay, and refining my sound engine, as well as cleaning up code and documenting it for next week. But again, any recommendations I'd be gladly willing to take. But I do think I've run out of time for this, considering that I also have the physics class. Other than that, thank you very much. Goodbye.